Don't cry cause it ain't gon' rain every day. Don't despair cause it ain't your way. Keep it real, make the best out of any situation that you come across. Some lose, some lost, I'ma shake it off and get back to what I'm really about. Give the crowd something to feel. Tell me why you scream.
You were listening to the Blokheads Podcast.
Conversations from the couch.
Man, we are the deep into podcasts.
Yes.
Like, we have been not only doing our podcast, but we've been featured on other podcasts.
Yeah. Kind of feels official.
It feels very official. You heard from our last guest, Brother Thomas. He did an amazing job. Mm-hmm. And he had such a good time with us. He invited us on his podcast.
Which was pretty cool to be able to, record with him.
Yes,
like, that was nice.
Very cool. Yeah. Then this past weekend, Saturday, I had to record a session with Kervin. You all know him. He is like one of our go-to podcast guests. He is our residential designated mental health professional. He is the Dr. Phil of the Blokheads Podcast.
Yeah. It's been pretty cool. It's very cool. Season 2 has been different, but in definitely a good way. It's been so exciting.
Way. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited, and I know we say this all the time, but Couch Cousins, we appreciate you all so much for the support. It is so overwhelming.
Did you just call them Couch Cousins?
I called them Couch Cousins.
So you're finally adopting the Couch Cousins.
I'm embracing the lingo.
Yes.
You have to have that certain phrase and
but
description for your audience members.
Yes, it's your Couch Cousins.
Beyonce has the Beehive. Then you have
our Couch Cousins.
Our Couch Cousins. And we'll leave it there. But no, everything's going well, busy as usual, but I'm just enjoying this journey so much, enjoying being on this journey with you.
Oh, that is so sweet.
And as you all know, my wife is very passionate about education.
Yes.
And we talk about her career field a lot. I love my career field.
You're passionate about it. That's why we have the Dr. Phil come on. So
I'm passionate about it. But everyone knows that my ultimate goal is to eventually do content creation and podcasting full time and kind of make sure I bring my end to my money or financial. You know what I'm trying to say.
Bring up this money piece one more time.
However,
okay, go ahead.
But it is going to take off. But just in case it doesn't.
No, it's not. No. There's no just in case it doesn't. It's going to take off.
It's going to take off.
Yes.
Good point, baby. Let me rephrase that. If it takes a little bit longer than we expected, I don't want to call it a backup plan, but I'm really into cryptocurrency.
Yes, you are.
And I've been into cryptocurrency has it been 2 years? Hasn't been 2 years yet. Why are you looking at me like that?
I've known about it for maybe a year.
Okay, so
that's why I looked at you like that. Cause
before we dive into this,
we keep it real with the Couch Cousins.
We're gonna keep it real before we dive into this episode, and we introduce our great, phenomenal guests who have their own podcast about cryptocurrency and are very, very knowledgeable about it. We have to be transparent about our journey.
Can we please keep it real with the Couch Cousins?
So one of my closest best friends went down to spend the weekend with him, and he asked me about cryptocurrency. I told him I was familiar with it. But before we get into that, I didn't involve my wife into my journey. That's what I'm trying to say.
See, listen.
I went behind her back.
He did.
And I started investing into cryptocurrency. And the reason why is because I really couldn't explain or articulate it into a way that she would be comfortable with it. And my wife and I, although we are equally yoked, well meshed, her comprehension and understanding and embracing of things is different from mine. She has to know every single detail.
I'm a detail-oriented person.
You're very detail-oriented. And we believe that this is not unique to us. I think that there are probably a lot of young millennial couples or just younger individuals or older individuals in general.
Yeah, just individuals in
general.
You
hear about cryptocurrency all the time and you're really not sure what this whole thing is about or whether you should get invested in it. So to not only get us closer and get us more on the same page with cryptocurrency, but to also enlighten our audience members, we thought it would be awesome to bring in some experts when it comes to the cryptocurrency sphere. So we have from the Blockhead Podcast, did I pronounce it correctly? David and Josh, what is going on, guys? Thank you for joining us on the couch. How are y'all doing?
Good. We are good. We're excited to be on here. We're kind of new to the podcast realm. We've just did our 5th episode, but it is a strong community, and I really enjoy the experience. And thank you guys for having us on your show.
Well, we feel so blessed that you guys reached out. Thank you for letting us speak, and I hope we can, clear some things up and educate some people.
Right. That's kind of the inspiration of our podcast, was to help people begin in crypto and walk them through it from beginning, explain some things, and then get into some heavier topics once they have that base knowledge. So that's kind of our passion, is to share crypto with people that don't necessarily know much about it.
Cool. So what got you all interested in cryptocurrency, and what made y'all so confident that this is something that's real and here to stay?
Well, I think for me, I got in a few years ago. I think it was 2018, whenever the market had crashed the last time. And really, I was into stocks with my brother. But he got really heavy into the stock market. And then I saw this new asset class, these cryptocurrencies. And I love computers. I love technology. The Matrix is coming out soon in Christmas. So I love all of that stuff. And it was just a liberating asset class, and the technology, it can really free you if you're an artist, in your creativity, in your finances. If you're an investor, it's just, I don't want to say it this way, but there really aren't any boundaries right now.
Right.
And I mean that in a creative aspect. It really is a beautiful.
Well, and it's a new, blockchain, it's a new technology. Well, it's not so new, but it's being adapted now, and it's the possibilities are endless right now, as people are being creative with it, and that's what's exciting.
Yeah.
And for me, when I met Josh, he got me in on crypto. So I'm relatively new, but I've really dove headfirst into this realm. And I love it. I have a family. I've got a wife and 3 kids. And so for me, crypto is about getting debt free. It's about, my parents, they had like a pension, 401k, better Social Security. For our generation, that's not really a thing. You only retire as good of an investor as you are. And so crypto for me in the long term is my retirement fund, partly.
Awesome. So that is great, guys. Thanks for sharing that with us. So let's dive into the topic of conversation.
Yeah.
There is still a lot of uncertainty and skepticism about cryptocurrency. Explain to our audience exactly what this is and why it is a good idea to start investing into this asset class.
What? Oh, you want to?
Cryptocurrency, I think it starts with blockchain technology, which is a new way. It's a decentralized way of using and sharing information. So if you think of Facebook or the cloud, it's one small, it's a room with a bunch of servers. It's all connected. And so decentralization is, how would you say that? It's spread out. And so it really gives power to the people that hold crypto. Crypto is a digital fiat, a digital currency. It can be a token. It can be a lot of different things. But like if you think about the most prominent one, Bitcoin, right now it's a digital version of money that we're using.
Yeah, I love that you brought Facebook up.
Yes.
So when we're talking about decentralization, if you can imagine a company like Facebook, they have all of our pictures, our memories, they have our lives basically. And if they get attacked and their servers go down, then what happens to all of our information, right? That's like half the world using their product.
Right.
So being decentralized means that they have parts of Facebook around the world. So if one part were to get attacked, Facebook wouldn't go down. It would still be running. It's just that one part is attacked. So if you can bring this to cryptocurrencies, the way that this data is stored on the blockchain, which is the underlying technology, is that our data is stored on blocks of information, right? So connecting these blocks of information creates a chain, which is why they call it the blockchain. So if one block were to get attacked, the chain would still work, but that one block would be removed. Okay, so this is the idea of decentralization. Now, when you apply money to this, the technology allows money to move quickly, safely,
more
efficiently. Yeah, right. And it really is. The first part of your question was about skepticism, right? And I think, it's a good timing for this podcast, because now you're starting to see banks adopt this openly. They were before, but now it's out in the open. You're starting to see football players and soccer players, presidents.
Right? Whole countries are adopting Bitcoin.
So if you're a little uneasy about this asset class, or a little apprehensive in jumping in, just think of how widely it's now being adopted. This is not in the dark,
right?
Or in a shady place around the world. This is open now. It's out there. So
years ago, when Bitcoin was kind of in its infancy, it was used, I would say it probably was used for the dark web and stuff. So it kind of gets that reputation that it's used for criminals and stuff like that. But now that it's more mainstream, I wouldn't say it's used any more for that than the US dollar is already being used for crime.
The dollar's used for crime just the same. So
I think what the real crime is you put your money in a savings account at a bank right now, you get maybe 1%, right? And that's where's all your money, and why is it not making you more money? I think that's really the crime now. And crypto solves that problem.
Since it's a new asset class, there's a lot of speculation, right? So you might hear coins like Shiba Inu or Bitcoin in the news now. Right?
It's everywhere.
Like David said, why is it that if you were to put money in your savings account, it only goes up a few percent a year, where these tokens you've just heard of are making people millionaires and sometimes even billionaires? So if there's any skepticism or questions that arise, it should be on that basis. Where is our money going when we give it to the banks? Why for our generation, why are these student loans murdering us? Why can't we get away from these loans? And this new asset class really turns everything on its head and gives power back to, I hate to say it that way, but gives power back to the people.
We become our own banks.
It's scary, but also exciting. But
it's new, but it's powerful.
One thing, I guess, explain to our audience, how are so many people making so much money? Like, what's determining? Because we know that the US dollar, well, it used to be backed by gold. It's not backed by that anymore. It's actually a note. But we understand the value of the US dollar. We understand. Well, explain to our audience, how can an individual make so much money? Like I said, if you invested $100 into Bitcoin 10 years ago, you're now a multimillionaire. Like, what causes that to happen, and why is it that you're now worth? Why is it now that you're now a millionaire just because you invested $100 into something that everybody's still not using?
That's a really good question. Where does the money? I think a lot of it has to do with scarcity. For using Bitcoin as an example, there are only 21 million of them, right? So when I don't know exactly how that would work, I don't think I've answered that
question before. Well, the US dollar is not tied to anything, like you had said, and we're printing them faster than we are spending them right now, and so that makes the US dollar not really worth much. And Bitcoin is something it's proof of work, the type of blockchain it is. And so the way that people mine for it is you get these computers that solve complex math equations, and that validates transactions on this blockchain. And when you validate a block, you get rewarded in Bitcoin. And so the value is the work it takes for you to validate this blockchain. It's community driven. And so it's become valuable because there's not a unlimited supply, and people started using it. The first time Bitcoin was used to buy something, it was used to buy a pizza. And when people could realize that they could have this digital currency and actually get physical things from it, it just really blew up.
Yeah.
And we call it a utility token because people are using it for everything now. You have Bitcoin ATM machines, and and you have ETF funds, and I mean it's really exploded, and that's what's driving the price up to $64,000 that it is today.
Yeah. So like you're saying, there's not an unlimited supply. You can't just print more. And I'm not talking about only Bitcoin, but all of these digital currencies. A lot of the times there's a fixed supply. And like with the US dollar, the more they print, the less our money is worth. But with Bitcoin, since people are seeing the value, they're willing to pay more.
Yeah.
And for those who don't want to sell, they create this, perpetual rise in price because
they're holding.
You have that scarcity problem there. So as far as where does the money come from, I think now for the people who got in early, they're holding or doing whatever they want. But now you have institutions coming in, flooding the market with money that's never been there before. So all of a sudden your $100 turns to thousands, hundreds, tens of thousands. So it's not, I'd like to say the value was always there, but
it's being realized now.
It's being realized now, yeah. So now that we have institutions coming in, giving it that value and flooding the market with money, I think that's where all the money's coming from now.
Yeah. And not just Bitcoin. Bitcoin's the most common name, but there's a lot of coins that will do more and do it more efficiently than Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's slow. I don't know if you guys know, but Bitcoin, if you do a transaction, it generally takes 10 to 15 minutes for that to process. And it takes a lot of energy to do this because of all the complex math equations your computer has to do. There's things called XRP is one that we really like. And its purpose is to be adopted by banks. And it's going to be a reserved currency potentially for the countries, for the world, maybe someday.
Hopefully, that'd be nice.
And it's built for that. It's fast, it's cheap. Once it's through the SEC lawsuit, I really think that XRP is going to be one that can make people generational wealth.
Yeah, we're familiar with XRP.
Yeah,
you're familiar with XRP.
Well, that's the thing, right? It's like this is the biggest case right now for the whole crypto space, and it's like if you hadn't heard of cryptocurrencies before, you heard of them now because it's everywhere.
Yeah.
You see Visa and MasterCard and Burger King is getting involved in crypto, so it's exciting.
And this is, I like what you said about generational wealth, and what individuals, and I want our audience members to really understand is that you have an opportunity to really, change not only your future, but your kids' future, your grandkids' future, just by investing in the right coin and going and understanding how the market works and getting out in a certain period of time if you feel like it's best for you. But this is a real opportunity for our generation to really change our circumstances. So regardless if you're unsure, I think it's wise to start and just take a chance because it's here to stay. I'm a conspiracy theorist. My wife will let you know that I have my own theories on cryptocurrency and digital assets. And which ones to really invest in. Or we've kind of lightly touched on one. I don't like to give out all my information, but just start somewhere. I mean, I know there's certain coins like Dogecoin and Shibu. Even if you're not sure about those, which I would say you're probably right if you're not sure, it's worth a shot because, like you said, you can put something in and cash right on out. But we talked about Bitcoin. Most people are familiar with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
However, there are hundreds of other digital coins out there. Could you explain to the audience the difference between coins? I know you kind of touched on Bitcoin and how much energy it uses, but what's the difference between a Bitcoin, Ethereum versus coins like the Dogecoin?
Yeah. Okay. So the difference between these tokens or digital assets is how they can be used, how they came, their inception, how they came to be, and how they can be used. So let's use Dogecoin for an example. The creator of Dogecoin made that as a joke, right? And he didn't plan for it to do anything. It was simply a joke, but it caught on. And if you're an investor thinking about which token to invest in, you might see the Dogecoin and the Shibas. But if you know that these tokens, the main purpose was to be a joke, you're not going to want to, invest in these things. There are other tokens where their main purpose is to change the world. Right. So these are the ones, if after a little bit of research, and I think if we can go back, that is really one of the most important things about this asset class and the time we're in, is it allows us to invest. And maybe we couldn't invest before. Like, the stock market is not a fun place to put your money into, right? For young investors, it's not so fun.
Right. And you're doing good if you make 7% a year using the stock market. But, I think I said Bitcoin was proof of work. You validate blockchain blocks on the chain by doing these complex algorithms. Other cryptos like XRP, proof of stake, which is most altcoins. If you hear the term altcoin, it's referring to proof of stake. And they're quicker and more efficient. And the way that they work is it's decentralized, and people that hold the cryptocurrency, they get like votes, delegations, they can validate nodes. And by holding that, whatever asset it is, let's say Cardano, because I'm a big Cardano fan, you hold that and you can validate transactions on the blockchain by holding Cardano, and then you're rewarded with more Cardano by doing that. And that's a very fast, decentralized way of doing these transactions, as where Bitcoin takes a lot of energy and it's slow. These other altcoins are cheap and fast.
Yeah, I want to also mention when you hold these assets, you strengthen the network, right? So that way people aren't buying and selling all the time, but the network is strengthened. And there's a term called nodes or master nodes, and this is where you accumulate, let's say 100,000 of an asset, and you get rewarded maybe weekly or monthly because you hold a master node. And that's kind of the far range of utility these tokens can have. Like one had just come out, I think a month ago. It's called Songbird.
Yeah.
Right. Part of and I love Flare, the whole Flare ecosystem, but there's a token called Songbird, and every week I get rewarded with Songbird. And then you can then sell that for bills, or you can reinvest that money. So, and I don't think these other tokens are being given as much light, but there's so many.
There's a lot of good projects out there. Bitcoin gets the media because it's the oldest successful cryptocurrency and it's the biggest one right now. But there's a lot smarter and better projects. For sure. And I think if you know XRP, then you've probably heard of Flare Finance. It's not out yet, but it's going to be coming out. Songbird is the precursor to that, or the Canary network, the test network for Flare. I think when that happens, that's going to change the way that I think it's going to change the crypto world. I think it's going to change the way that money's handled it, I think it's going to be really big.
The way I always try to explain to people who are not familiar with it is think about it like the internet, when the internet was first introduced to the mainstream masses. And it's hard to explain. If I would have transported myself back to 1992 and explained to someone what Amazon, Google, and Facebook would be, even go before then. I mean, Yahoo Messenger, it would be like, this makes absolutely no sense. You're crazy. I don't see it happening, but I try to tell people to kind of equate cryptocurrency to the same way as the internet and Web 2.0. And I kind of look at Bitcoin as America Online.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
AOL made a lot of people money, and then it went away. It got replaced by better technology.
Yeah. And because I know a lot of people, because they think of, when they think of cryptocurrency, they think that it's Bitcoin, and it's not. And they get discouraged because they see the price of Bitcoin and it's 60,000, whatever it is. And they're like, well, what's the point of even getting into it? I can't afford it. But take your focus off of Bitcoin and look at these other coins that Josh and David have discussed, because I'm telling you now, if you could go back in time and invest in Facebook, invest in Yahoo, invest in Google, think about how wealthy you would be. This, in my opinion, now you all are the experts, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like this is the same exact opportunity, except it's afforded to the everyday person.
Yeah, now is the time. You know, I think we're in a bull market right now. Everything's about ready to go up. And so things like XRP, I think, are going to be the cheapest that they're ever going to be. You know, today's the day.
Yeah.
And it's a safe investment.
I like that you use that internet analogy, you know, and one of the questions we get to is it too late? You know, is it too late to invest? And if you use the internet and someone were to ask us today, is it too late for me to learn how to use the internet? Well, no, right? It's always changing. It's always improving. So it's the same with this crypto stuff. We're just starting, you know.
Right.
So I would say it's still early.
New projects are coming out all the time. Better projects, you know, they see things like Ethereum and they're like, I think I can do that better. You know, you have things like Avalanche, Cardano, Algorand, you know, Cosmos. There's a lot of projects that are, Solana is another really good one, that are doing things like Ethereum, but doing it better.
Yeah. And the projects you just mentioned, if you're to go back just a year, even 6 months, and you're to see the prices that these tokens were at, $2 to $100, right?
Yeah.
$1 to $50. If you do the math, how much would $100 back then have made me? Your mind will have been blown.
On average, as of now, in the crypto market, every year, it's doing 500%. You pick a token, any cryptocurrency, and you look at it. Just take Coinbase. You look at almost any of them. Their minimum is around 400%, 500%. Someone like Shiba is like, I don't even know, like 18,000 or something like that. So it's exciting because you can take $100 investment, and in a year's time, you can turn that into $5,000. And then if you reinvest that $5,000 in another year's time, you have $25,000. And it goes like that. It
does, yeah. And you know, I don't want listeners to get the impression that you can get rich off of $50. I think the real value comes in investing in yourself and just taking a leap and learning this new asset class, right? And when you find a project that you like Ripples at XRP, Cardano, then you invest what you feel comfortable with. And it's all math, you know, 1,000% increase. These things happen all the time.
Yeah. Today, IoTech is a really interesting project that connects users and technology, like your cameras on your phones and everything. I think it started out at like 9 cents today, and it went up 200%. I don't know if it's at that right now, but today it was up 200%. I mean, just like that. And that stuff happens all the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like what you said about just being smart with the investments, and because you can make some good money, and sometimes you can even make some quick money, but you can lose it just like that. So that's why it's so important to find the right coin, and be knowledgeable about the cryptocurrency space, and never only be willing to put in what you're willing to use. And the person who introduced me to that space, I mean, that's the one thing he always told me. It's like, don't only be willing to put in what you're willing to use, because even though we're confident about it, you still just never know. So you just want to be smart with that.
Yeah.
So let's fast forward 20 years into the future. Will cryptocurrency be on the verge of replacing fiat currency? Or will cryptocurrency be the currency of the new metaverse and Web 2.0? So which one is it going to be? Is it going to stay digital, or is it eventually going to replace all fiat currencies around the world?
That's a fun question. I think we had talked about this the other day.
You give your answer and then I'll give mine.
Okay. Yeah. So I don't think fiat is going away, but I do think it will be eclipsed by this new asset class. Just like there are still gold bars in the world. There are still, I'm sure you can still trade potatoes for rice somewhere in the world, right? So I don't think these older methods of trade are going away, but for these more developed countries that use a quicker means of trade, digital currencies are already here. I just saw, I was talking about the Matrix earlier, but I just saw that Warner Brothers is releasing NFTs, which are digital assets for the Matrix release, right?
Oh, wow.
So that's amazing, right?
Yeah.
So they're already incorporating this in our media. So 20 years, it's here to stay, but I'm sure we'll still have dollar bills and gold coins. So
I think that you're right, that money, like fiat money, will always be here, but I think that crypto is going to change the banking system. And I think it's going to take the power out of banks' hands and put it into the people's hands. And it's going to be more of a sense of community, the way that we use money. And I think that money is going to be used smarter. There's things called liquidity pools and staking, and there's a lot of different ways to make high interest on your assets in the crypto world, which is a better way of doing money. If we can get 20 years from now, I think the crypto market's not going to be so volatile. I think that it'll still be better than the stock market, I think, because technology compounds so fast, but I think that it's going to be a steadier way of making money for yourself. So I think that it's going to help I think debt's really going to change, because you can take loans out on your crypto now, and we're just in the beginning, but I think that it's going to change loans. I think it's going to change the real estate market. I think that NFTs, I think you can buy a house on the blockchain in the future, buy cars. I think that things are going to be quicker, cheaper, and money's going to work better for you in 20 years because of crypto.
Yeah. I'm gonna put on my conspiracy theorist hat.
No.
Here's how I see it. I think that, like you said, I agree with both of you two, that fiat currency is not going anywhere, but fiat currency, if that's all that you have, your lifestyle and your way of living is going to be extremely uncomfortable if you are still relying on only fiat currency, because I do believe that we are going to eventually have a UBI, universal basic income, and I think that a lot of people are going to receive funding because technology is only going to improve. It's only going to improve, so there are going to be a lot of jobs that are just simply obsolete. And a lot of individuals are not going to be able to obtain work. So the government is going to pay them a universal basic income to survive. and that's going to be a fiat currency. I think those individuals who are taking advantage of cryptocurrency, they're going to have pretty comfortable lifestyles, because I think with the inflation, I think it's going to be equivalent. This is what the example I used to my wife. I said, in the future, I think that in order to send your child to college, you can pay $1 million of US currency, or you can pay 20 ripples or 10 Bitcoins. I think this is my opinion, I think that's going to be the future, to where if you have a lot of digital currency, a lot of digital assets, you're going to be able to maintain your lifestyle or have an even more comfortable lifestyle, as opposed to someone who has very minimal or none, because the value of the dollar is going to be literally worth nothing. And we're seeing that happening in real life. Does that sound too crazy?
That's nice. I like that conspiracy hat you got. That's a good one.
I don't think it's too far out.
Yeah.
You know,
it's good. I think that, that there can be a dark side to all this, and I don't think anything is too much.
I think it depends on how the government regulates crypto, because I think we're going to find a balance between crypto and fiat, because the people in power, the banks, whatever, they're not going to let go of their power too easily. And so I think that regulations are going to kind of play into how the future looks with crypto involved. But I don't know, we'll just have to wait and see. But I do agree that if you stockpile crypto now, you're going to be way better off in the future. You can invest in Shiba and Doge. There's a lot of meme coins, and you can turn a quick buck if you know that's what it's for.
Yeah.
It's day trading, or, just to make money short term. But if you are looking at these projects and you guess correctly on which ones are going to be in it in the long term, you're going to be well off. Right. And that's where we try to teach our listeners and the people on our Facebook page how to research, where to look.
Yeah.
Those are important tools for us now, because there's so many different projects. There's thousands of crypto projects, and they're evolving every day. They're creating new ones every day. So being able to research and understand these terms, and to kind of understand the utility of these is how you're going to be successful long term in crypto.
Awesome. So, Wyatt, do you feel, and not just you, all listeners, if you were unsure, I'll let my wife be the voice of the individuals that are a little bit unsure.
It's not fair. Don't let me be the voice of the individuals.
Do you feel a little bit more? They did a much better job of explaining. I did it. Does it make a little bit more sense to you now, or?
It makes more sense.
She's still.
But you know what? Hey, listen. I think you all can share the viewpoint inside of this. You all couch cousins, you can see I was really quiet because I was having to listen and learn. I think it's fair what you all were saying, and I'm just listening. Like some of our couch cousins are having to do right now. Just listen and take this in.
Yeah.
I think it's very narrow-minded if you don't have a listening ear.
I think the biggest worry is you want to know that your investment will do good. No one wants to just give their money away to some mystical crypto land, right? And I think about swimming. If you've never swam before and someone has, they can tell you everything you'd want to hear about how it feels to swim. But until you test the waters and you get in there, you'll never know. And that's kind of what this new asset class is like. There's so much to learn, and I can talk for hours and hours, but really until you put your first dollar in and you see how the ecosystem works, that's where the value comes in, right?
You're right.
So
yeah, crypto's community driven.
Yeah.
And people are working very hard to make it better and to make it more valuable. And I think that's really what's driving the prices up, is just how much how many people are behind it and working to make it better for everyone. I would like to share a few news stories with you guys, because I know for me and my wife, and I'm blessed, my wife, she has a Coinbase and she invests in crypto alongside with me. And so I get to talk with her about that. And that is a huge blessing. But I like to just talk about the power of crypto, and I post these news articles on our Facebook page. But in El Salvador, they've adopted Bitcoin as their currency for their country. And the way that I've talked about, Bitcoin takes a lot of energy to process these transactions. They're using their volcanoes, the energy from the heat from the volcano, to power their computers to mine for Bitcoin. And what they've done is they're taking the profits from their Bitcoin and they're building a VA hospital. And they've already funded that. And they have more, and they're making more money in Bitcoin every day. And so now they're buying 20 schools for their country. And so their people are using Bitcoin for transactions, and they're mining for it using volcanoes, which is super creative. What a way to solve a problem. And they're doing so much good with it. And in Vancouver, they're mining for Bitcoin, which creates a lot of heat. You know, these computers create a lot of heat. They're taking that heat and they're warming up public areas from mining Bitcoin, using that heat and heating these areas for free. And so crypto, its value isn't only how much money it can make you, but it's greener. It's going to change our world in different ways. It's not just money, but we can talk about NFTs if we have time too. It's changing art. It's changing our environment, and I think it's really healthy for the world, really, in other ways. You know, it's not just about money.
Wow, that's powerful. You know, my wife and I, we started this podcast, and one of the main things that we wanted to do, and we still put it at number one, is helping people through our information. And the topics that we choose, yes, it's relatable to us, but it also, we want to make sure that our audience members are getting something out of it. And one of the reasons why I want to bring you guys on this is because this is such a great opportunity for a lot of individuals to really change not only your family, like I said before, but future generations. And I know it's just there's a lot of apprehension about it, but just listen to these guys. We're gonna post a link to their podcast in the description of this episode, because this is a real opportunity, you all, to really start laying a foundation down for your future and really changing things. And these guys articulate themselves very well. This isn't going anywhere. This is the future. It sounds crazy, but
it is crazy.
try explaining to your grandmother or your great grandparents about the internet. I know it sounds so crazy, but you have to start using examples like that. If I would have told you back in 2018 that the whole world was going to lock down because of a virus, that sounds crazy. So don't simply dismiss things because you can't comprehend it. You can always look back in other examples of your life. And at the time, that idea sounded crazy. A guy starting a bookstore in his warehouse and it turning into Amazon sounds crazy. A guy putting some photos on a website and calling it the Book of Faces, and it eventually going into Facebook, not a metaverse, sounds crazy. I mean, all of those ideas sound crazy, but the individuals who said, you know what, it sounds crazy, but I'm gonna take a chance on it, their lives will change forever. So just take the opportunity. I really do. Guys, I want to bring you guys back for a future episode, so you mentioned NFTs.
Yeah.
I really want to deep dive into that because I know we have a lot of questions about NFTs. So if we can get a guarantee from you all.
We'd love to. We love NFTs.
Awesome, because I know that's something that's very intriguing too. David, Josh, y'all have been amazing. Before you all leave, please leave our audience your contact information and how to find you so they can listen to your podcast.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so we're on Spotify. It's the Blockheads Podcast, which is spelled BLOK, Blockheads. And then we have a Facebook page, the Blockheads Podcast, and Daily Crypto News is what we've called it, because I upload important news articles so you guys can stay informed in the crypto realm. And then
we have a Twitter as well, and I will post our username on the Facebook so everyone can see it. We're also on blockchain platforms actually, where we post our podcast.
Yeah,
You
Odyssey
wanna talk about
is a blockchain. It's like YouTube, but you get rewarded in crypto for posting content and commenting on content. And it's not censored like YouTube is. So we're starting to use things like that. So Odyssey, ODYSEE, it's a good platform. So
Yeah, and there's also another platform. It's kind of like Spotify. It's new. It's called Audius. And I'm not sure how to spell that, but again, I will post that on our Facebook.
Awesome. Well, Jonessa audience, you've heard it here first. We are giving you guys free game. Please check these guys out. I'm going to pick their brains a little bit more after the podcast, but we will bring them back. So you guys,
Thank you so much.
thank you very much.
Until next time, you've listened to another episode of the Jonessa Podcast.
Conversations from the couch.
We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.